ॐ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Let us offer our salutations to Sri Krishna, the embodiment of bliss, who came to establish dharma and punish the wicked. Let us pray to him to lead us from unreal to real, to lead us from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Today I am speaking on the topic Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, the way of the sovereign wisdom and sovereign mystery. Verse number 2. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitra Nidamuttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dhamyam Susukham Kattumaviyam. And Sri Krishna is now explaining to Arjuna what is sovereign science and what is sovereign mystery. Of the sciences, this is the highest, that is the science dealing with the knowledge of the self. Whatever one acquires through the study of the Vedas, which deal with life in this world as well as the life in the heavenly regions, by undertaking some rituals and other practices, but they increase cravings and do not release the person from bondage. The more he enjoys the heavenly regions, the more he wants to enjoy, and there is no end. So, time will come when a person feels totally disgusted about the sense pleasures. It will be nauseating to him. Then he turns back, turns towards the divine abode of Lord, who is operating the whole cosmos. There are many instances in our scriptures which deal with this point. Probably you all know famous Yayati. He was a great king and he enjoyed his kingdom very well. Then, as usual, everybody gets old age. He also got into old age, but his intense craving for the sense pleasure was burning in his heart. So much so, he went and requested his sons, please, I request you, to give your youth to me and take my old age so that I can enjoy. He had many sons. Everyone almost rejected, but only one person, he opted, well, father, I am prepared to take your old age, you take my youth. And they knew the science of transferring the age like that. Anyway, he got into youthful stage and Yayati began to enjoy. finally he became totally disgusted. And then 100% turnover. Then he began to spend many years in deep meditation in the forest. Finally he got liberation himself. So what I mean to say is, the pleasures which we naturally experience in our life, they keep on creating more and more samskaras to desire them more and more. So there's a stop for that. You keep on desiring. So that means the more you desire, the more you must be prepared to come and take birth on this earth plane. That is coming and going, you are accelerating it. So you die to be born again. You are born to die. So birth and death alternate. So the point is, the person is not released from bandhan as long as the cravings are there in his heart. But the knowledge of Brahman, acquiring which it fully destroys all these cravings and impurities of the heart, it makes him realize that he is not the body, he is not the mind, not the intellect, but pure Atman. Sa Atma Tattvamasi. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says that thou art. So, this science, the knowledge of Brahman, Shri Krishna says, is a sovereign science. So, what is sovereign mystery? This Brahma Jnana is realizable to one who has full control over his senses, followed by right discrimination and dispassion. Shri Krishna in another chapter, Viveka Vairagya. They are very, very, very important. Both should be properly used. So, when you have proper discrimination and dispassion, such a person will be freed from the botheration of desires. He will be free from jealousy, hatred, anger, lust and greed. So, this Brahma Jnana is considered sovereign mystery. And Lord Krishna says in the verse, Pavitram idam uttamam, the supreme purifier. Then once you attain to that state of realizing Brahman, that burns away everything, veiling the glorious Atman. It establishes everlasting peace and bliss. And another important point, Sri Krishna says, it is imperishable, avyayam. So it is called Supreme Purifier. So you must strive for attaining Brahma Jnana, not the knowledge of other things. All the other knowledge come under the category of Aparavidya, which Kathopanishad deals with. Paravidya, Aparavidya. Aparavidya means all these different varieties of knowledge we see in the world. They are of secondary nature, lower nature. They won't release you from bondage, they won't give you everlasting peace and bliss. Whereas Paravidya, the supreme knowledge, knowledge of the Atman, knowledge of Brahman, that gives you permanent peace and permanent bliss. Once you attain that state, you are ever peaceful and blissful. That's how we see the life of Sri Ramakrishna, life of Holy Mother, and Ramana Maharshi, even direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. They would love to be absorbed in meditation because they would feel intense peace and joy in that highest state of experience. So, that's the way. And dharmyam susukam kartum. That is, it is very easy to practice. Maintaining purity of heart, and by the grace of Guru, he who is analytical and introspective easily attains Brahmajnana. So what is very, very important is maintenance of purity. That we have to do, that's the stage we have to prepare, then only the spiritual knowledge is possible. So this stage of purifying the heart is very important. We must give utmost attention to maintain the purity. Ashraddhadhanaha purusha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vatmani. And Shri Krishna says, those people who have no sincere faith in this dharma, knowledge of the self, they do not attain me. Shri Krishna is referring himself as the Brahman to be attained. He has revealed many times in the Bhagavad Gita. He is none other than Supreme Brahman. He has incarnated himself as in a human form to help the spiritual aspirants to reach the highest goal of realization of Brahman. So, those who don't have Shraddha, that means who are very careless and haphazard, and such people, they won't get me, but they return to the path of rebirth, fraught with deaths. They have to keep coming, going, and pass through all sorts of pain and pleasure. There is no way. So, in order to get release from the bondage of karma, one must strive for the realization of the Brahman. That means one must take the spiritual path so that he can be released from the net of karma. Karmanubandheni manushya-loke. This earth is called Manushya-loka, region of human beings. And here all the human beings are bound by karma. Karma means the samskaras created by each one of us in our actions, in our behavior, etc. So, Gyaneshwari, Sant Gyanamaheshwar, Sant Gyaneshwar has given a very good commentary on Bhagavad Gita. He says, lotus roots and frogs, they live together in the same pond. But bees feed on the pollen of the lotus, while the mud is left for the frogs. Again, there may be thousands of gold coins buried in the house of a man of ill luck, but yet he will not starve. Yet he will starve himself living in poverty. There may be thousands of gold coins buried in the house of a man of ill luck, yet he will starve himself living in poverty. So, although I means Lord Krishna, I may in my heart be the garden of all joys, still a deluded man will seek for sensual pleasures. So preoccupied are they with self that these ignorant ones fail to reach me, and so are tossed back and forth between the banks of life and death. What am I like in reality? I am not as a sun which at times is visible and at others hidden from the sight. I do not fail in this way. So this is the commentary given by Sant Jnaneshwar on this verse number 2, verse number 3. Now, verse number 4, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha. By me, in my unmanifested form, are all beings in this universe pervaded. All beings exist in me, but I do not dwell in them. That means he is beyond everything, just like Akasha. It's all pervading. So everything is in the Akasha. That's the point. He is not this whole universe, but the manifestation of my own self. Again, something Jnaneshwar has said, just as milk when curdled is naturally curds, or as a tree grows out of a seed, or as gold is made into ornaments, so this universe is but a manifestation of me. That means I am only in various forms in this universe. When nature is confined when unmanifested, it becomes diffused when manifested in the form of this universe. Know that I, the form of the formless, am manifested in the three words. All forms from the most subtle of the elements to physical matter are reflected in me like foam on water. Arjun, as when this foam is seen from within no water is found, or as on awakening what is seen in the dream ceases to have a separate existence, so are all these beings reflected in me, but I am not in them. Let the eye of your mind remain fixed on my inner nature. Just try to focus on the Divine Lord. Everything will be revealed in course of time. Verse number 5. Natyabatsthani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram bhutabrna cha bhutasto mamatma bhutabhavanaha. And yet the beings do not dwell in me. Behold, that is my divine yoga mystery, myself, which is the support of all beings and the source of all things, does not dwell in them. That means, while truly reflecting the objects placed before it, a mirror ever remains unaffected by its function. Similar to this, Brahman has the divine yoga power, Yogamaya, to bring forth the universe and the beings out of himself. There is grandeur, uniformity, precision, plan and purpose in projecting, preserving and withholding the universe. But Brahman is ever himself. In the midst of the sport, He is unattached, unaffected by the phenomenon. Verse number 6. Yathakashasthito nityam vayuhu sarvatra go mahan tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani chipadaraya. As a mighty wind blowing everywhere ever rests in the akasha, ether or space, the first of the 5 material elements that constitutes the universe, know thou that in the same manner all beings rest in me. Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, though the wind carries the good and bad odor alike, it remains unaffected by both. Parabrahman is in this wise unaffected by the phenomenal universe. Next verse. Sarvabhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpado visajamyaham. All beings, Arjun, enter into my prakriti. At the end of a kalpa, they all enter into me. I generate them again at the beginning of the next kalpa. Kalpa means cycle. The end of the kalpa is the time of dissolution, which we call pralaya, and the beginning of the kalpa is the time of production, which we call utpatti. When Brahma, the creator, goes to sleep, it is the end of a kalpa extending into 1,000 yugas. It works into incalculable crores of years of the human standard. Then the entire manifestation goes into the unmanifest state and remains dormant for an equally long period, which is Brahma's night. When he wakes up again, the universe with the multitudinous beings comes into manifestation. This is an eternal process. So the creation goes on. There is no end for creation. It appears to end, but again it is created. Prakritim swam avashtabhya visajami punah punaha bhutagramimam kristam avasham prakriter vashat. Animating my nature, I send forth again and again all this multitude of beings helpless under the sway of nature. The beings are of Prakriti, Maya. Prakriti means Maya. Out of Prakriti they come in a period of manifestation. There is evolution, and into Prakriti they go at the end of each kalpa, worldly age. And at the beginning of a new worldly age they come forth out of Prakriti into form again. The Prakriti over which the Divine Lord presides brings forth the world from time to time and again dissolves it into the unmanifest. This evolution and involution of forms is Divine Lord's Maya, and it has no power to bind him. He is Maya Dhyaksha, Maya Dhisha. Maya cannot bind the Brahman. This work of Prakriti proceeds by laws of nature. This work of producing multitude of beings does not bind the Divine Lord. He observes all as one detached from these works. Unattached to actions is the Divine Lord, for he seeks no reward. Nachabantani karmani nibaddanti dhananjaya udasinam adasinam asaktam teshu karmasu. O Arjun, these acts do not bind me, sitting as one neutral, unattached to them. Here again Gyaneshwari comments, as it would be impossible for a handful of salt to stem the onward rush of the waters of the ocean, similarly can actions which end in me bind me. Can a cage made of smoke restrain the force of the wind, or darkness enter the disk of the sun? Are minerals in the heart of a mountain damaged by showers of rain? So also actions performed by matter do not affect me. However, understand that I am the sole cause underlying all the effects of matter. But like one neutral, I do nothing, nor do I cause anything to be done. As a lamp placed in a house neither directs nor restrains anyone, nor does it know who is engaged in what work, as it is a mere witness without interest in household activities. So, though unattached to all works of creatures, I am nevertheless in these creatures. मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम् हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते. Presided over by me, Prakriti produces all this, the moving and the unmoving. Because of this, O Arjun, the world revolves. That is, God is one, and one is manifested as the many. The one is the eternal, the imperishable, the absolute Brahman. That never goes into pralaya. Whereas the gods, the men, the animals, plants, minerals, all beings, all the worlds and planets, all the suns and stars, they all go into pralaya. The whole drama of matter, life and consciousness, the drama of evolution goes into disappearance, but the eternal abides. That is, Brahman always abides. And the Purushottama, the incarnate Lord, Krishna, he abides and goes not into dissolution. He is ever present. Avajananti māmūಢāः manushim tanumāshritam param bhāvamajananto mam bhūtameshwaram. Fools disregard me when I assume a human form, for they are unaware of my higher nature as the Supreme Lord of all beings. That we have found in the life of Krishna. Most of the people would not recognize the divine glory of Lord Krishna. Only a handful of people would know. Fools unable to discriminate despise me living among them with a human body. These fools do not understand my higher being, not knowing that I am the Supreme Self, that I am like Akasha, that I am the great Lord, the very self of all beings. Then by continually despising me, these poor creatures are ruined. The Lord who is not bound by karma, and he is not bound by the human form also. Akasha, he is not limited by the forms taken by the other four elements. While containing all of them in itself, it expands undivided into infinity. The same is the case with the Chiddakasha as well. It is eternally pure, wakeful and free. Though this Paramatman is the common background to the entire creation, he assumes occasionally a perfect human form and seems to be enshrined in it solely with the object of teaching humanity that it is possible for them also not to be bound by the body while residing in it. Not knowing this divine play of the Lord, they treat the incarnation also as an earth-bound one and slight him. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the elephant has the visible tusks and the invisible set of teeth. Similarly, the incarnations like Sri Krishna have the human and the divine combined in them. While appearing as a human, they are the transcendental divine, unaffected by karma and things mundane. Moghasha, Mogakarmano, Mogajnana Vichetasaha, Rakshasi Masurim Chaiva, Bhakti Mohinim Shitaha. Being of the deceitful nature of demons and beings, they cherish vain hopes, perform vain actions, pursue vain knowledge, and are devoid of judgment. So, here the characteristics of people who are foolish are given. Foolish means they don't have proper discriminating intellect, mandabuddhi. So, the first characteristic of a foolish people, moghasha, that is vain hopes. Actions by themselves do not yield results. According to the nature of the actions done, the giver of results is Paramatman. For a laborer who works, work by itself does not give him a paycheck. The giver is a conscious being different from that. Another example is given. A thief steals. Stealing action by itself cannot punish him. A separate entity, judge, will punish him according to the nature of the thief's crime. In the same way, in accordance with dharma, the result will be given by the Paramatman only. That is Moghasha. And Mogha Karmana is another characteristic of a fool. Some people spend lot of money and perform such rituals as yajna, yaga, etc. They expect to enjoy pleasures which are temporary, here as well as in heavens after death. But if they had performed same rituals with selfless attitude, their minds would have been purified. Too much of stress and strain, but the results are meager. That is the meaning of Mogha Karmana. Mogha Jnana means pursuing vain knowledge. Whatever knowledge people acquire by the study of Vedas and other sacred scriptures, they use them for their material pleasures. Such people are considered fools. If they had used that knowledge for pursuing liberation, they would have become wise. In Vivek Chudamani, it is said of such people that bhuktaye natu muktaye. After struggling for a long period of learning the Vedas and scriptures, the knowledge they acquire, if they use it for material benefits, their knowledge is vain. So, acquiring Vedic knowledge should be used for pursuing spiritual realization. Next is Vichetasa, that means perverted intelligence. Such a person thinks that body is the Atman, he is dominated by the influence of elusive Prakriti. That is Mohinim Prakriti, Prakriti Mohinim. Under the influence of elusive Prakriti, human birth obtained would be wasted. So, here Lord Krishna clarifies very clearly who are the people who are suffering on account of their not thinking properly, not becoming wise, not knowing the spiritual glory of the divine. So they focus their attention on external things and momentary pleasures. So that makes them more and more miserable. But still they keep on being that way. So they are coming back and forth on into this world. So to realize Brahman, one should utilize this human life. Otherwise, it will be considered as waste. That is, abuse of human life. You must struggle, you must know the fact, and you must struggle to attain this spiritual realization to sincere practice and guidance by the Guru. Then it is possible to realize the glory of the divine Paramatman in this very life itself. It's possible. Everyone has that capacity, only we should give proper attention and practice properly, then we will be able to achieve the goal. Let us stop here, we shall continue next. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Let us offer our salutation to Lord Krishna, the embodiment of bliss, who came to establish dharma and punish the wicked. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.